back, fellas. Did you miss me?
Hey, there's a Porter sighting.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to It Came From GenX. I am the missing X. If you watched last week's show, well, actually, which is this week's show, but it's good to be back. A little bit of internet trouble last week, but man, welcome to our show. I was excited about the topics last week. I am really excited about them this week. We have the topics that I didn't get to last week and some great stuff from Skinner and Fisher. Please welcome our co-hosts, Ryan Fishbone Fisher and Michael Skinbone Skinner. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how you doing? It was nice seeing you earlier today. I'm glad you stopped by.
I needed that. I was in a bad way, and I appreciate just letting me come over and vent a little bit. So
Absolutely, got to show him the fruits of my loins per se with the basement,
yes.
and just about done there. But,
just about done. It's looking good too, man. Fishbone, what's happening, baby?
How are you? So I am wearing, if you're watching us on video, a reality football shirt. So I just want to mention that it was 2 years ago yesterday, Keith, where I was a guest. We shot the reality football show here at my house.
Wow.
You and Coop came in. We had a great show. I went back and watched it today in my Facebook memories. It's on the page as well, but just to go back and reflect and all that. So after that guest, now you mentioned on the show that the week prior, Skinner was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was shortly after that, you and Cooper invited Skinner and I to come on to the football show permanently. And then from there, we finished up that season and did another season. And then that has progressed to what we're doing now. So 2 years ago, I was sucked into the crazy world of podcasting, and I have another podcast,
You're welcome.
Convincing Idiots. And it's just like, should I thank him or cuss him out or what? But no, but it has been enjoyable. I mean, the whole reality football show, I know you guys agree, that was a very enjoyable experience for the three of us with Coop. And then
you have a surprise with reality football, but that'll come later.
Okay, very good.
But that's awesome. I got to go back and watch that, man, because this just started with a little vision.
Yep.
To have some fun. And to see where it is right now is truly astonishing. Excited about where it's going. New things happen every time we do something, whether it be WMBU coming into the picture or picking up listeners, in other countries. All these little things are awesome. And just like when I did the first show with Coop, I was like, oh, he's supposed to be a part of this. Same thing happened with you guys. Oh, we're supposed to do this together. Yeah. And here we are. All right.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Keith. So go ahead, Skinner.
I remember that first episode. I was nervous as hell.
Oh my God, you were a babe in the woods, man. You were a babe in the woods.
It was pretty funny, but we got through it, and then as that show progressed, we certainly became very comfortable, especially with each other, cracking jokes and having a good old time.
That person you were then compared to now is like night and day.
I got you.
Now you're old hat.
Well, so all seriousness, now we mentioned it, I think last week, Skinner, a little bit, but while you're here, Keith, so thank you for your interest in this and your passion to get something out there. It's been a means for us here certainly to stay connected during all these crazy times, and it certainly branched out into my other podcast with Dean and Nick, and then it's same deal. I appreciate that. At the end of the day, we're all coming together as friends and hanging out, and it's so tough to do that these days. And it really is. We always pause every week to do this show, and I do the other show. So thank you for that. Appreciate it, and we're excited to be a part of this and keep it going. So
that means a lot to me, and I got to tell you guys, I don't want to get too sentimental here, but you saying that at the moment is so on time because I don't know what the last couple of years would have been without you guys. I can't even imagine. It has been the greatest thing to me. It has renewed our friendship, strengthened our friendship.
Yes.
We've all become like family. And it's been great. It's given me a foundation, and everybody should have a strong foundation. Unfortunately, had to bury a friend yesterday.
Sorry, brother.
It was a reminder of what's really, really important in life. So you saying that right now means a lot to me. So
Absolutely.
all right. So listen, guys, this show we've just been who we are. We can't be anybody else. And I want to tell you thank you for being faithful. You said we take the time out to do this each week. Well, you know what? Nobody has sloughed off and disappeared and like, hey, you're going to do it this week. You guys have been faithful. Obviously, things come up, but I want to say thank you for this being a priority week in and week out. But I believe it means as much to you guys as it means to me. So here we are.
Absolutely. We know that if Coach Coop could be with us, he will. He certainly would. His schedule has changed, and he's just not able to spend the time that he wants to with this. But the three of us certainly, So I share the same sentiment. So,
right.
Absolutely.
And hey, last week we had some serious technical difficulties, and we always mention Mike Skinner Jr., Skinner's son, who produces our show. We talk about where we wouldn't be without him. Well, he went above and beyond the call of duty, putting last week's show together. And we want to really say thank you to him. It truly is a whiz kid, and thank you for your patience. I mean, I always say if it's got boobs, tires, or wires, you're going to have trouble. So we certainly had some wires, have some trouble last week. Thank you, Junior, for everything. All right.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up, because that coming from Dad's just like, he's just pimping his kid. Well, I'm not. What happened last week is hopefully never happens again for us, because from start to finish, that was just a debacle.
One of those nights.
Let's be honest.
Happens.
And what he did to piece that together and to make it sound almost as good as it should have on a normal day. Kudos to you, son. I appreciate everything you do. Love you, kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and the sound effects, guys, that was great. That was good stuff.
Thank you.
Love the AOL. That was great stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Okay, Fish, tell the people where they can find us real quick.
All right, might be listening to us on WMBU.org, Global Internet Radio, Mondays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Pull up the site, play live, listen to us right there, and all their other wonderful content. You can listen to us whenever you want to on demand on your favorite podcast platforms. We're out there on several platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Just pull us up on your platform. Give us a subscribe. New episodes pop in there for you. Give us a rating and review, and helps others find the show. And tell a friend if you like our stuff as well. All links to all our social media and our YouTube channel, which is It Came From GenX, can be found in two main places. Our Linktree page. Just Google It Came From GenX Linktree, L-A-N-K tree. Links to all of our platforms are there for you. Very easy. For our website now, it came from genx.wordpress.com. Again, all show links are there. All episodes via Spotify are there, and also links to other platforms. Links to our YouTube channel. Fun things are there. Check us out. You can also follow us on the WordPress site if you would like. If you follow our posts, as we post new episodes, you will get an email if you prefer, and you can listen to us right through the email links back to Spotify if you wish to do that. If you like the show, want to throw us a couple of bucks for continued technical lessons, or maybe we'll buy Mike Skinner Jr. a beer or something like that. We do have a Patreon account. You can find that through our website if you want to donate to the show. Don't have to do that, but if you do, we appreciate the support. So thank you for your support out there. We appreciate it. And thank you again for continued little increases in the UK and in Germany. So thank you guys for listening overseas. We appreciate that and love to see our overseas audience grow as well. So thank you.
All right. Speaking of overseas, world news, Skinner, take it away.
There we go.
All right. Today's stories. Let's see. I'm trying to do something here when I shouldn't. Sorry about that, guys. There we go.
That's okay.
Our our friend, our compadre, the governor, that which
Ronnie
all
D.
50, Ronnie D. Which there was governor of all the states in the United States. Mr. Ronnie DeSantis, governor, Florida, Republican. He's at it again. Um, I'm going to read this here. It's a little long, little lengthy because there's a couple quotes, and then I'll get you guys' opinions on it. And I know Fisher's got some bullets lined up for him as well. But here we go. So Sunday, Governor DeSantis is at it again. He wants all out-of-state law officers and sheriff deputies to help patrol his state. Now, with that being said, he quotes here, "We are actively working to recruit out-of-state law enforcement because we do have needs." What it is there's cities such as Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. They are all mandating every city civil employee to be 100% vaccinated. And we all know how Mr. DeSantis is with the federal mandates in his state. He doesn't like to be told he doesn't like to be told what to do. So what he got is so in our next legislative session, I'm going to hopefully sign into legislation that gives a bonus to these out-of-state officers that relocate to Florida to work for him. DeSantis also said vaccinated mandates are unconstitutional, takes away from people's rights to choose, and hurts nurses and officers. So what he's saying is, and this is where I'm reading between the lines a little bit, that it was okay for the nurses and doctors and first responders and all that during the height of the pandemic to work, no vaccination, all those extra hours and all that. Now, they had safety gear on, let's be honest, but they were right there and there was no vaccination available to them. So now what they're doing is here we are 18 months later, 20 months later, requiring these nurses and first responders to be vaccinated or they're going to lose their job. I don't agree with this. I understand why the vaccination is being asked. I understand all that, but you cannot lose your job because you're not vaccinated. There's got to be something with that. So one other thing is nobody should lose their jobs based on injection status. That was also a quote from Mr. DeSantis. The LA police are right now, they're in a mandate that they all must be vaccinated by December 18th, or they lose their jobs or go on unpaid leave. New York City said all city employees must be vaccinated. Chicago's in court right now about the same mandates. And DeSantis, believe it or not, is not the first politician or the first state representative to do this. Sometime back, Indiana Senator Mike Braun had earlier said that any Chicago officer that loses their job because of the mandate said, "Come to Indiana, we'll employ you." So it's interesting that this is out there. So we laugh about Mr. DeSantis because he does things that no other politician in our time has done. Like you said earlier, Porter, he's a cutting edge person. I gotta be with him. You know, I know I'm not vaccinated, and everybody knows what our stance is on the subject itself.
Right.
But I do agree with him. You can't tell these nurses and these civil employees that were there at the beginning that they're going to lose their job if they're not vaccinated now. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so let's start off with this, y'all. You know, I'm a fan of him as well. I just like the fact that he seems to not toe the company line, if you will, in a lot of issues. And this issue, I love what he's doing. I just don't think he's going about it the right way.
Okay.
I love the fact of what he's trying to say. But it seems a little bit irresponsible, is what concerns me. Number one, first of all, for the state's concern, just bringing in officers from different places. One thing about policing is a community thing, and every community is different. The way you police in Chicago is not the way they police in Akron. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I
Yep.
think that could cause a big issue right there. Are they're going to be retrained? Or, I got a lot of questions with that. The only issue I have with what he's saying is, and it's probably the biggest issue with the COVID, with the vaccine. Are you going to be testing these people constantly? Because it could be very irresponsible, and you could be spreading COVID. Now, people are questioning if COVID is real, or the vaccines are this and the vaccines are that. And it's against the law to mandate people to be vaccinated. And I'm starting to think back, when we were young, wasn't there a law that your kids couldn't go to school without certain vaccinations?
Yep. Still there.
There were certain requirements.
Okay, so I don't understand why people are tripping right now.
Well, if you go back and look at history, people had some had similar reaction to some of the vaccines from centuries ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was maybe not centuries ago. It's a bad. I'm not saying it correctly, but over the years, decades ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they've had similar reactions to that, like polio vaccines, same type of stuff, same type of stuff, and it just people are always going to have that position in mandates and things like that because it takes away from their right versus public health.
I watch a lot of the if you go on Facebook and you hit the watch thing, and there are all these videos, and they have a lot of the Karen videos. They have a lot of these people, in stores refusing to wear a mask, and they all seem to say the same thing. It's a hoax and blah blah blah, and you shouldn't have to wear a mask, and you're all going to find out it's you've been duped and this and that. And I'm like, where are these people? Are their heads in the sand? I know, me personally, people who have been, if not sick with COVID, have died personally.
Sure.
And I'm like, are your heads in the sand? I mean, I don't know how great the vaccine is, even though I did get vaccinated, but I do believe COVID is real. So I don't understand people's I can understand people hesitant to get the vaccine, but I don't understand this attitude of it being unlawful. I mean, we've always had laws that have mandated certain things before we could enter into society, before we could go to school. If nothing's new.
Right.
But I like Governor DeSantis because I believe he's a cutting edge governor. He doesn't seem to give you the political back talk speech, says what's on his mind, but I think he might be a little irresponsible on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, Florida has one of the worst records of COVID, one of the highest death rates of COVID. From day one, this guy...
And that might make it extra irresponsible, baby.
Yeah, well, he's fought everything. Mask, which, how hard is it to wear a mask? Back to this, he wants to send the message that, I don't know, to me it just feels like I am more concerned about votes than public safety. That's how I feel, right? So, and he's not the only governor like that. Yeah, so This is part of the problem. Part of the problem with this country in politicizing this entire issue. Now, I could go one way or the other, frankly, with mandated vaccines, because again, if you're vaccinated, I'm vaccinated. I contracted COVID, as you guys know. I was very fortunate that I didn't get seriously ill at all. I still can feel it, but whatever. So I'm one of the lucky ones. Some people aren't as lucky. But it's definitely true that if you are unvaccinated, that you have a higher risk of serious illness. But you can still get sick either way. Right. You can still get passed it on to others. So it doesn't stop that. So honestly, with the mandates, I'm sort of on the fence as far as if you don't want to get vaccinated and you want to risk getting sick and dying, that's on you. I mean, that's not to be cold about it, but that's it. But to make it a whole political thing, and I don't know what the right answer is and all that, but it is. But if the local public, if the local community says,
in a perfect world, if there is no hidden agenda,
right.
okay, let's just I hope if there's this disease, and we're trying to stop the spread of it, in a perfect world, the mask and the vaccines will be intended to eradicate the disease.
That's true. That's 100%
Okay,
right.
but you need to rephrase that. The mask is that vaccine does not eliminate the virus.
No,
only
it doesn't. I'm
prevents.
saying to help eradicate it by
I got you.
stopping the spread.
But what
we
it
can
does
go
is
back
As they work on getting rid
it,
of it. That's what I'm
right
saying. It's all part of
because
it.
that's
it
been
can
my
also help
argument
slow
from
down
day
these.
one.
It can also help slow down these variants. We keep getting more and more
Listen.
of these variants because
Okay,
people are
listen.
getting seriously ill
Let's
without the
relate this.
vaccine. Right?
Let's put the GenX spin on this.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't make people wear condoms
Mm-hmm.
during sexual intercourse to stop the spread of HIV, even when
No.
it was getting rampant.
Right.
You couldn't force people to do that, even though they were desperate to try to slow this down, and they highly suggest it, even to this day. Not just HIV, but any sexual disease. But you couldn't force that. So I kind of see it on both sides. Now, science has caught up where they have, different medications to help, slow down or retard the disease. But HIV is still out there, 30 years later?
40.
But, yeah. But, I mean, you couldn't, well, there's no way to legislate that, too, like you could getting a shot. But same thing. Very interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on Ronnie D. Because he's something else. I love his boldness, but I hope he's not just trying to, rebel just for the sake of rebelling.
No, I got you. I agree.
At the risk of the people's health. Thank you, Skinner.
I agree. I got one other quick story. A dad in Columbus, Ohio, is pissed off his kid's school system. The story reads that on this past Friday, so it could have been last week, the week before, his kids had to miss school because their bus didn't show up to take them to and from school that day. So he got mad and he called his dad, who happens to own a limousine company, and said, "Dad, I need to borrow a limousine because these kids need to get taken to school." So that following Monday morning, he picked up 21 kids from school and took them to school. And then on Tuesday, he did a round of 41. So he must have took kids to school and then went back and got more. But the school, believe it or not, is a little salty with him. They're a little taken back that the man took the initiative to get these kids to school. So they've been shunned. And it goes along with this cancer culture age that we're in, that this guy is bad because he showed them up.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be real quick about it.
Yep.
I don't want to hear about insurance. I don't want to hear about protocol. What the business of it is yours, who he carpools with.
It's a carpool. That's all it is.
That's all I got to say.
Yep.
Yeah, it's too bad. School systems don't have enough drivers, and so they're, and or funding, but it's mainly about the drivers themselves. So they have to cut these routes and all that. I think it's terrible for the kids. But you're right. At the end of the day, it's a guy picking up kids. It just happens to be a bigger vehicle. So, what a thrill for those kids. Can you imagine being a young kid like that, get picked up in a limousine and take?
Absolutely.
That's pretty sweet.
Especially the awkward age of a middle school kid.
I hope it spreads. I hope what he does spreads.
He's trying to do something nice. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
he's trying to do something nice for the kids, and and the school system's in a tough bind if they can't get drivers. So I see both sides to it, but like you say, it's not the school's business if he's getting kids to school safely, and the parents are consenting to let the kids ride in the car.
Absolutely.
I assume that's the case,
thing right out
right?
the door
So
with that.
yeah. So anyway, good for him.
Good for him. He's taking on a lot of responsibility too.
Yes, indeed.
It's a lot of kids. Something happens, God forbid, but good for him.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, good for him, and good for the limo company to allow the vehicle to be out there in service, not getting paid per se.
Yep.
So I just thought it was a feel good story. That's all I got today,
definitely.
fellas.
Thank you. Okay, well, let's get to some sports and music. And I probably won't do any music today. I'm going to skip the This Day in Music just because of the the intensity of the sports stories that we have today. Before I do that, I want to say shout out to all of the Northeast Ohio music crowd that showed up yesterday to say goodbye to a friend, a fellow drummer. Um, I was really impressed with all the people that showed up. Even Tim Owens, with the schedule he has, made it out yesterday. Came to the funeral, came to the repast / jam session, and that was really awesome to see. So just want to say shout out to all the Northeast Ohio music crowd from the
Nice.
Okay, yes. Okay, guys. All right, last week I started with the Bradshaw Aaron Andrews story, and I won't go into the facts. You can, people, if you're listening, you can, if you don't already know the facts, you can Google it. But basically, Terry Bradshaw made a comment as Aaron Andrews finished an interview with the Tampa Bay Buccaneer football player who has a horse ranch. Said, "Hey, I see you got your boots on, your shirt, you're looking good. I really enjoyed that interview." And of course, cancel culture blew social media up, calling for his head, calling for his job, accusing him of being this, that, and this. Cancel culture is getting out of control. The fact that it has a name now, cancel culture, tells you all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And we are finding fault in everything and everyone. I know there are some old habits that need to be broken. I get that. But I don't know where the line is anymore. You can't say, especially when it comes to women, cancel culture seems to really, really make everything sexist or demeaning. I don't know what was so bad about what he said. I could easily see him saying that if it was a male doing the interview and dressed up for the part. And I'm really upset about this. So, guys, did you find anything wrong in those comments? And why is this getting out of hand, Fish?
It's to simply tell a I guess a colleague, a peer that he or she looks nice. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it's like, and honestly, what's kind of lost in all this as well, I don't know how she felt. I mean, she might have felt
Very good point. I haven't heard anything from her yet. Good point.
Now she might just be purposely keeping her mouth shut with all the storm here, I guess. I don't know. But, it was nothing. It was just, hey, you look good. You look nice. And that's how I took it.
Right. But let's not forget, it was more than just about how she looked. He was specifically talking about how she dressed for this interview.
Yeah, the cowboy.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what he was alluding to. Not like, hey, you're looking good. Yeah, it wasn't that type of deal. And
that's his thing. Yeah, I agree. He dresses in attire.
Way to go the extra mile for this interview. Yeah. Skinner.
Yeah, I don't know.
As you turn up that drink.
Yeah, right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I read the story and I listened to the interview, and I see absolutely nothing wrong. You call me the old fuddy-duddy vet, the old man, geezer. What do the kids call us now? Baby boomers or okay boomer thing. Say what you want. I'm not a Terry Bradshaw fan. I'm not a Steelers fan. Let me phrase that. As a person, I'm a fan of Terry Bradshaw. I thought he's done very well for himself. Outside of football.
Oh my gosh! I'm glad we got that on recording.
Career. Matter of fact, me and Marcy just watched a movie the other day, Failure to Launch is the name of the movie. Have you seen that? It's with Matthew McConaughey, Bradley Cooper, Sarah Jessica Parker. Terry Bradshaw's in the movie, and he's absolutely hilarious. With that being said, his career every Sunday on Fox, the guy knows his football to this day. He's sharp as a tack. Despite all those head injuries and all that stuff on the field that he endured, the man did absolutely nothing wrong.
Right.
I don't see anything to fault him whatsoever. And I'll be the first to admit that if something seems out of character, out of whack, then I'll go and I'll cringe and say, "Ooh, that probably shouldn't have been said." But when I listened to that and I saw it, there's nothing.
Okay. So let's just say something is said that shouldn't be said. So let's go to a newer story just recently happened. Your boy, Tom Brady, threw for 600 touchdowns on Sunday, first NFL quarterback ever to do this in history.
Like how you said, your boy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you caught that. Okay, so wide receiver Mike Evans, who loves kids, has a habit of giving footballs to kids in the stands, not thinking, gave the football to a fan. Now they got the football back, but Tony Romo, who since he has been retired and been an analyst on TV, has had rave reviews. I love listening to him. I did not know Romo knew football like he knows it. I mean, he can tell you what's about to happen 2 plays before it happens. He's been getting rave reviews on his job. But he made a slightly off comment Sunday when he said Brady maybe should offer a date with his wife to get that football back. Okay, let's not act like that's a normal comment. It's not normal for Romo. It's not normal, period. Certainly probably shouldn't have been said. But now they're calling for this guy's head. He's been doing great the 3-4 years he's been at this job. Rave reviews. You talked about Bradshaw's career. What happened to looking at a person's history before we start canceling them? I remember one time I got accused of making a comment to a girl at the University of Akron. And I wanted to know what their proof was. The girl said she heard the comment, but didn't know who said it. And when they looked on a video, I was in the vicinity. And it was a very crude comment. And I actually got called into a disciplinary hearing at the University of Akron for this. I was heated. And I stood up and I said, you know what? I'm walking out of here because I'm going to tell you right now, I have never said that to a chick in my life. I never said that. I didn't talk to girls like that in junior high, high school, and I don't talk to girls like that now. I dare you to find a girl to ever say that I said that something like that to her. And I told the lady, I said, I'll put my reputation up against yours any day. I said, go to the gym. I've been going there for 10 years since I graduated, playing basketball 3 days a week with the staff, and ask about me. And she called me 4 days later or so and apologized and said they dropped the case. And I wanted to know why. She goes, well, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to tell you, I did just what you said. And I went to that gym. And from the supervisor of the University of Akron Wellness Center to the employees to the trainers, to the staff, they all had nothing but great things to say about you. That was an instance where the way it should be. When does your reputation help you? Today you get canceled by one off comment. You know what? He probably shouldn't have said that. Apologize to the Bradys and let's move on. Why are we so quick to call for people's jobs for the slightest thing? One thing I will say about myself, I'm old school just like my dad. If I was on TV, I'd probably be in a whole lot of trouble because I still say things like sweetheart or dear to ladies, not in a sexual harassment toward a way. You know what I'm saying? Just the way my dad talked to women, it's the way I talk to women, and I don't give a crap if it's 2021. I'm not going to let nobody change the way I talk. But this is getting ridiculous, dude. Skinner?
Well, here, let me ask this question. Do we know the relationship between Aaron Andrews and Terry Bradshaw? And I'm going to ask the same question. Do we know the relationship between Tony Romo and Tom Brady? Or Tony Romo and Gisele Bündchen? What if they're the best of friends and he's acting as if he's talking to them, even though he's on the radio or on the TV, and they're just showing the way they talk to each other, whether it's in public, whether it's behind closed doors?
I'm gonna throw you another one. Gisele Bündchen is a public figure.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's open season when you are out in the public. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
How do I have the right to judge what Terry Bradshaw said when I don't know what that relationship is outside of watching them for that 20 seconds or that 1 minute? And that goes the same with Tony Romo and Tom Brady. I don't know if those two are best of friends. What if they are and he's just cracking a joke?
Right, but let's just say for the sake of arguments, it's not about their relationship, but it's about the job that he has to do. Let's keep our focus on that. So here's my thing. If Gisele Bündchen isn't Tom Brady's wife that we don't know about, that's just his wife. She's Gisele Bündchen.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you dates with her or have been talked about for the last 20 years, and she's been
Before
a
Tom Brady.
supermodel.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. So that's why he said that, because she has been. You read the comment today about the person who complained about it, and the comments were something about as if her time and whatever was up for sale. I'm sorry, but when you are a quote unquote supermodel, that's how you are looked at and talked about. They've had contests where you can win a date with a supermodel, win a kiss from a supermodel. So now all of a sudden we want to act like it's off limits.
Right.
Fish?
Yeah, I mean it's a type of comment where you probably you just need to be a little bit more self-aware on a national television broadcast. But it's definitely the type of comment a guy would be like, hey, ha, and you don't mean anything crazy about it, but at the same token, hopefully he doesn't have any suspensions or whatever. I guess there sort of remains to be seen what happens.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
You know what I mean?
I think you should apologize, but I think it should be left at that.
And you shouldn't apologize to Tom Brady or Gisele Bündchen. You should just apologize for your professional career. Hey, I made an off-the-cuff statement that somebody may have taken wrong, and I apologize.
Yeah. And social media now, obviously, it's so easy that the average Joe Schmo has a platform, because you could easily get something out there on social media and it catches fire and takes off and it gets a lot of attention. And some people might just be looking for that. I don't know, but yeah, hopefully nothing major happens here for either one of these guys.
If Bradshaw apologizes, I'm going to be heated.
Yeah, he has nothing to apologize for.
I hope you tell them they can go fly a kite.
If the woman comes back and says, hey, I was offended by that, then definitely he should, without question, apologize.
Even then, I wouldn't apologize. For a compliment, I wouldn't apologize. I wouldn't apologize to her. I would tell her that's too bad for you. I would go back and find tape where he told one of the other guys, hey, you look nice in your suit. I watched ESPN First Take, and Stephen A. Smith makes it a point to say, hey, man, you're looking good today. I see your nice tie and whatever. You know what I mean? Nobody goes off about that. So people are crazy. All right.
Porter, quote, get off my lawn, unquote.
Get off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, real quick, talking about cancel culture still. John Gruden's story. Okay, the guy he's lost his job. You're not going to see him on TV no time soon. The comments that were made, there were some pretty heavy stuff being said. Do I think he's a racist? Absolutely not. I don't believe that. I don't believe anybody like that who spent this long in the NFL, which is what, 60-70% of black athletes. I just don't believe he's a racist at all. The comments that he made, shouldn't have made them. I agree with that. You're an NFL coach, especially shouldn't be putting nothing down on print or out in the internet world. But some of the other comments he made, I can certainly understand the fury about that. This guy, I don't know. Is he going to be forgiven? And why do we forgive some athletes, some sports figures, and others have still been ostracized? I have never seen such venom as I do from people like on Facebook when I mention or when I see Michael Vick pop up for something. There is a culture out there of people who loves dogs more than they love human beings. And those people tick me off. I've heard people who claim to be devout Christians say, I hate Michael Vick. I hope he burns in hell. Really? Over some dogs? I thought it was despicable what he did. I was glad he went to jail. I think all those people who do that ought to go to jail. But at the same time, when a person serves their time, they have to have served their time, or the system is broken. We have to learn to forgive and move on, especially when they seem contrite and that they are sorry for what they've done. They learn from what they're done. And I don't think he did it to be malicious. It was the culture he was raised in. Dogfighting is huge in the South. Michael Vick might not be doing it, but it's still going on, and I don't see anybody up in arms about it. But because he was a sports figure, all the dog people came out, and to this day they hate him. Marv Albert, guys, if you remember back in what was it? 97. A 42-year-old woman named Vanessa Perhat accused Albert of throwing her onto a bed, biting her, and then forcing her to perform oral sex. Now, there were no charges or anything like that, but he was fired, ostracized from the sports community for the longest. After enough time, he came back. Beloved Marv Albert. He died recently. He's a legend. Personally, I think that whole situation was nobody's business.
Marv Albert died?
Yeah, Marv Albert, yeah.
No, I think he just retired recently.
Oh, did he retire?
Sure? Yeah.
Who was that just passed? I'm thinking of the guy with the suits that just passed away.
Okay. That's all right.
Okay.
That's
so
all right.
Anyway, I thought that whole situation was personal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know why he got fired. I thought it was an embarrassing story, but that was his personal business. If there were no charges brought against him, I don't think he should ever got fired. So why do we forgive some athletes and some we just seen and want to cancel? Is it today's cancel culture age, or is it something specific? Is it race? What's going on, Skinner?
I don't know what it is, to be truthful. But we were talking about Mike Vick prior to the show, and if he showed contrite, he showed remorse. The guy made a mistake. He did his time and made good with everybody and everything that he needed to do to move forward. The guy deserves a second chance, whether that's in football, whether that's in radio, this, that, another. There were a lot of people pissed off about, Magic Johnson with the HIV. They hated him.
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that in a minute.
You're going to get to a story about him, and that's what's him. But there are people that hated him for the same reasons, because he's playing basketball. Well, he was sick, and
okay, I'll give you one better. What about Ray Lewis?
There's another one. You can go Ray Rice. Here's
the thing about Ray Lewis. Some people still to this day think he was involved in a murder, but yes. Ray Lewis was forgiven instantly. Went on to have a Hall of Fame career, win 2 Super Bowls. He's got his gold jacket, and you don't hear anything about that anymore.
No, his name's not brought up at all anywhere now that he's retired. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. It's just certain people get passes and others don't. What's the criteria to get a pass?
That's the question. Fish,
do you know what that criteria is?
Well, I mean, harming animals, that's a whole other that's a whole other world of folks.
Yes, it is.
And you're right. So it's like, if you're harming animals, I don't care what type of animal you're harming, you're going to probably not be forgiven, at least in that community. But I think the general public has a tendency to, if somebody steps up and says, hey, I messed up, they apologize, they do their time, whether their time is, of course, Vic was in prison, but Marv Albert, I didn't agree with that either. I mean, it was, like you say, it was no charges or filed, whatever, but he was able to come back. Michael Vick was able to come back. We'll see, I guess time will tell with Gruden and all that stuff. But I think most people tend to be, because we know we're not perfect people as well. So someone owns up to a mistake and, asks for forgiveness. I think the average person, even though maybe that's not as public with people stating they forgive somebody, if you will, versus the people that want to continue to make a lot of noise around, vilifying people. I think the general public is forgiving for the most part.
Okay, and I think we need to define. There's a thin line between forgiving and then letting someone back in. And I'll give you an example. I can't think of his name off the bat, but the referee that was Betty, that was fixing basketball games. Yeah, you forgive him, but he should be allowed nowhere near anything that says NBA.
Of course.
So,
right. Yep.
Okay. So anyway, I'm going to just say this real quick because I want to move on to Fisher's stories. Kyrie Irving refused to get vaccinated. NBA is not allowing him to play. Is this right, guys? And why did they let Magic Johnson, as Skinner talked about earlier, play in the 92 All-Star game with HIV, but will not let Kyrie Irving play because he's refusing to get vaccinated? Fair, unfair? Skinner?
Unfair. Unfair can be. You can't let. You can argue to your blue in the face that it's a different time. It's the
Right.
same thing. It is the same thing. You know, you
Okay.
let one guy do this in 92, but in 2021, it's against that. I mean, I can't even explain.
I hear you. Fish?
It's not the same because things are different. So Magic Johnson, the only way you can contract HIV is obviously sexual intercourse or blood or something along that line.
Okay.
They did change the rules
Mhm.
because of Magic Johnson to this day. So if you are bleeding on the court, you have to come off the court, get that blood, get the cut taken care of, so you're not at risk to go out there and bleed on others. Obviously, with COVID, you can pass it without bleeding on people, right? And it's a state mandate. So the state of New Jersey has said everybody has to. So that's the stance of Brooklyn Nets take. Is it the right stance? I don't know, but Kyrie knows the rules.
Fair enough.
And that's it.
My question is this: what if he gets tested before each game?
That certainly that could be done. Absolutely. This is the position that his employer has taken, and that's what it comes down.
He gets
they have a
tested
right,
and he pays for it.
Sure.
Just a thought.
I'm not saying that's not a viable option. I'm not saying it's not a viable option.
You can go to a concert as long as you show a negative.
I'm not saying that's not a viable option. You can call it fair or unfair, but I am the owner of the Brooklyn Nets. I pay these guys to work for me. It's like an employer, and there's all kind of companies right now that's doing the same thing. You can agree with it or disagree with it. But at the end of the day, if there's a rule, you name the rule that your employer wants to implement for safety or something else, whether you agree with it or don't, you have two choices.
Work here or don't work here.
I either comply with that rule or I can't work there anymore. Now, you don't have to like it, but that's it. So that's Kyrie Irving has chosen to not get vaccinated. What's probably going to wind up happening is he's going to cave or he's going to wind up getting traded.
Right, exactly.
And that in itself is strange because you could be traded to a team in a state that maybe doesn't mandate it, and that's strange in itself. It should be a league-wide thing, to be honest with you.
There's a whole other conversation. We'll get to that.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. Thank you, Fish. How about some pop culture?
All right. So we'll get to a couple things here. Today, this is the 25th of October. It's hard to even get your head around things when we are alive to have something 50 years ago happen. And it's
amazing.
So 50 years ago today, if you're watching on video, I'm going to hold this up here. So this is an album of the Electric Company television show. It's a kids television show in the early 70s. Now, this album here is dated 1972. So a year after this came out. So Sesame Street launched in 1969, and then the Electric Company came out shortly thereafter. So the Electric Company was kind of geared more toward a little bit older kids than Sesame Street. And reading up on it a little bit, it was it was more of I'm a little bit of an older kid in grade school, and it's to help kids that are having more difficulty in reading and whatnot. It was sort of geared toward that audience. But a lot of, looking back even at this photo, but, Morgan Freeman got his television start. Rita Moreno, who's been a very famous actress on Broadway and in the movies. And then Bill Cosby was part of this before. It is a shame about Bill Cosby because things got weird for him by his own doing, but he really was involved in kids shows and trying to do a lot back then, But on this album, it's got, Mel Brooks is on this album and a lot of different things here. But I don't know. I remember watching the show. I used to like the Electric Company, some of the skits even today, and going back and looking at this, like the two faces facing each other and they whisper.
Yes.
It's like, shh,
Art.
ship. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. And it was a whole thing like, okay, it I could see where the catchy things like that could help some kids out and so forth. You had the Easy Reader with Morgan Freeman. You had Spidey Super Stories with Spider-Man back then. It was like the balloons of Spidey talking, and you had to read what he was saying and stuff like that. They had comic books of Spidey Super Stories back then, and I don't know. So I thought it just was an entertaining television show at the time. Any thoughts? Did you used to watch the Electric Company? If so, do you have any memories of Electric Company, or didn't
I
really watch it?
was a huge Electric Company fan.
Yeah.
Loved it more than I loved Sesame Street. There was just something about being in school, in elementary school, and the lights go out. I love when they turn the lights out to watch a show. You kind of went into your own world, especially as a kids, because things are new to you. Everything's a learning experience, colors, sounds, concepts, and Electric Company appealed to me for so many reasons that you mentioned. Certainly Spider-Man, the putting the two words together. I thought that was always a challenge. I would say the word before they would. I just thought it was a brilliant show. Loved it.
Skinner?
I don't really remember it. I was born in late 1971. So for that age group, I would have had to have been 5, 6, 7 years after that. I don't know if I don't. Do you remember how long that show ran? By chance?
I don't offhand. I'll look
You know,
that up. But
I remember Sesame Street, obviously, when I was a kid because it was the same when my kids were kids. So Sesame Street, but yeah, so having a hard time remembering that television show, but definitely kids today could use that a little bit of that show to teach them some life lessons. We didn't really have that, or I didn't have that kind of show that I remember. Maybe that show was in during that time, but
Yeah, it was out there. It's good stuff. Kids got some incredible stuff today. My 3-year-old nephew is a genius, and it's from the shows that his mom has him watch that are just amazing. What they learn, but this was innovative back then for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I see today is TikTok and YouTube destroying kids. So
but
it'd
there's
be
some
nice
good
to
stuff
have
out
those
there.
the good stuff needs to come out more.
My son grew up watching Blue's Clues, which was an incredible show. I was a fan of Blue's Clues, and learned a lot from that.
It ran until 77, so it ran from 71 to 77, and it said it sort of had some back in that time, some teachers were against television in general teaching kids. So, Sesame Street and Electric Company, they didn't think that. I got to tell you what, me as a kid, though, I religiously watched both those shows, Sesame Street and Electric Company.
Question. And what a great theme song Electric Company had, too.
Absolutely. They definitely helped me read. Yeah. I was in advanced reading in kindergarten, and matter of fact, they wanted to skip me up a grade, but me as my little shit self, I didn't want to leave my friends at the time in kindergarten. I would have been I could have graduated a year earlier if I would have, anyway. But without question, those shows definitely helped teach me to read and a lot of stuff, math and whatnot. So kudos to those guys. Go ahead.
I got put in the 3rd grade advanced reading class when I was a junior in high school because of the Electric Company rerun. So it helped me a lot too.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely ran in syndication for quite a while, right? So yeah, absolutely.
I swung hard for that joke. Go ahead. I swung for the fences for that
one. All right. So let's see here. Okay, we got a few minutes here yet. Okay, we had a very making a lot of news right now in the world of movies and pop culture. Terrible accident on the set of the film Rust.
Terrible.
So I'm sure you guys, most people out there may have heard about this by now, but Alec Baldwin, actor, was given a gun by an assistant director, and he was told, this is what's coming out, he was told on set that this is a cold gun, meaning there's no live ammunition in it, it's blanks. So the scene was he pointed the gun at the camera and shot, and there was a live round in the gun, and unfortunately shot and killed the film's cinematographer and injured the director who was standing behind her at the time. So the film production has been paused, and police are investigating. Apparently, what's coming out more now is that this assistant director has a reputation of not necessarily following a lot of safety protocol. So I guess we'll kind of see what happens here. But obviously, the actor, Alec, was, expressed his remorse, and as has everybody on the set. Just a terrible, terrible accident. This seemed to be an up and coming cinematographer when she was definitely making a name for herself in that industry. Terrible, terrible accident. I don't know what else to say really beyond that. Just an unfortunate thing that's happened. I mean, obviously, goes without saying that this type of thing should never ever happen. We remember back in the 90s when they had a similar accident with poor Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, on the film of The Crow.
Yes.
And he was shot and killed by a similar thing. I don't know if it was a gun
and
that
that's still not clear.
Something.
That's what they claim. Right. This is one of those things where there's no excuse and no margin for error.
That's right.
There should be clear-cut protocols before you hand anybody a firing mechanism. Check, double check, and then recheck it. There's no excuse for this. My mom asked me today about this situation. Like, will he be charged for murder? I was like, no, he can't get charged for murder, but somebody could get charged for criminally negligent homicide.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because this should never, ever happen. How do you get a prop gun and a live round was put into it? Somebody's going to have to pay for that. And prayers for the family of the cinematographer. Nobody should go to work, and especially on a movie set, and lose their life. That's just awful.
Absolutely. And I would assume that the protocols will certainly change in the industry regardless of...
they will.
That maybe there's a set person or staff member that's in charge of this type of thing going forward. And on
2021, how come there isn't now?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like what happened. So it's just some guy. Some guy says, the assistant director, "Oh yeah, it's fine." But what a terrible thing to live with as well. If you're the person that pulled the trigger and killed somebody accidentally like that. So
and apparently they're throwing him under the bus as being a negligent type of director. So
yeah, and it's certainly compounded with the fact that certainly he's a public figure and he's spoken out politically and this and that and the other. So that's not but whatever. Hopefully people look past that. It's just a terrible accident, and that the unnecessary loss of life here prevents other unnecessary losses of lives by changing the rules and the protocols, like you said.
Now, before Skinner says something, I want to say this too. This could be a setup. Because he does speak out.
Conspiracy theory Porter here.
Somebody could do this on purpose.
Oh boy.
It's possible.
Skinner,
think about it. Why would a live... Hold on a minute. Let me just put this out there. Why would a live round even be on the set?
It shouldn't be. You're right. 100%
think about it like that. Nope. There you go. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that it was a live round. I just knew that it was a prop gun, that it was discharged and caused a life to be lost and somebody to be in critical condition in a hospital. I didn't hear that it was a live round in a particular gun. There's zero reason for a live round to be anywhere on that set.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely. All right.
I've been on to sets of I was on the set of Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier, when it was in downtown Cleveland, and I watched the fight scene. And those guns, when they shoot them, it shoots off a flare type thing, but there's also a mechanism that they're aiming at that actually looks like it's becoming shot at. Makes a hole in it, kind of like when you shoot somebody with a fake gun and they have a thing here and it hits them and their blood comes out from a patch that they're wearing. So none of those things ever had a live round. I don't understand why this one was.
That's my whole thing. That's why I say that. It might sound like a conspiracy theory, but we're talking about, there should be somebody to check to make sure there's not a real bullet in there. Why would there even be a real bullet anywhere near this movie?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to throw a suspect at you, Keith. Madonna.
You know what?
We'll see.
I'm trying to tell you.
We'll see what happens.
I've been telling you. Yep, Madonna.
Yep,
Here we
we'll
go.
see. We'll
It's
see.
a witch hunt now.
Yep, literally. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left here. So we didn't get to it today. We're going to come back and talk about it more, the cancel culture and stuff. Keith will do this next week, but we know that Dave Chappelle is taking some, not him necessarily, but at
Yeah,
least
we
Netflix is
got
taking
to
some
get to
heat.
that story.
So
Yeah.
we'll talk more about that next week. We do want to recognize a couple pop culture figures who did pass on over the last week here. Peter Scolari, Emmy-winning actor,
Great actor.
known with his work with Tom Hanks on Bosom Buddies back in the early '80s, and the hit shows Girls and Newhart. That's where I remember him more as Newhart
Yeah,
in
he
the
was good in
'80s,
Newhart.
kind of straight-laced husband
Yeah.
of
He
So
caught my attention in Bosom Buddies. That's when I first seen Tom Hanks in that
yeah,
show. But he's done a lot of different stuff. I've always liked Peter Scolari.
yeah.
He
So
got a bad rap because they
but
always compared him to Tom Hanks. And where Tom Hanks is today and where he was, it's night and day, apples and oranges. But he was a good
Well,
actor. And I
where's
knew
the
him more
Fresh
from,
Prince and where's Jazzy Jeff? That's just the way it is
I
sometimes.
know, I got
Yeah.
you. Because I know him, like you said, Fish, more from Bob Newhart. He was really good in the Bob Newhart show.
Yeah, absolutely. So rest in peace, 66 years of age, and actor known for playing. So James Michael Tyler, he was known for playing Gunther on Friends. So he was the owner of the Central Perk coffee shop on the show.
Okay.
And I did
Okay.
not know this, but he started out as an extra on the show, and he just had a certain personality that caught the producer's eye, and they wound up making him an official character. 59 years of age and passed away due to prostate cancer. And poor man, but he did try to make people more aware of the disease. He wasn't, just trying to, hey, listen, I have this. And so he definitely did try to do some good things there with making others aware and try to help others, motivate others to help with prevention and so forth. But definitely memorable on the show, definitely had a quirky attitude. So if you are a Friends fan, you definitely know who Gunther was and certainly is on that show.
Rest in peace.
So, yes, absolutely. So, all right, guys, we are right up on the hour. So
we're going to need a 2-hour show here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of good content today. And again, we'll come back and pick up on some stuff next week. So Skinner, you want to take us out here, sir?
Yeah, we appreciate Porter sticking around for the entire show this week.
Hey,
yes, absolutely.
It's the least I can do, guys.
So for Brian Fisher, Keith Porter, I am Michael Skinner. We are the fellows from Gen X. We appreciate your listening and your any comments that you might have, anything, statements, any subjects you'd like us to go over. Please email the show, go to our website, and we'll be happy to take a look and see what we can do to better the show.
Maybe write an outro for us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to do that like last week. So, have a great week, folks, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
And cut.